Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time to chat with one of our favorite dudes on the planet. He is the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, Bill Armstrong. Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Man, we're doing well. Hey, look, I got to give you props here because you've forgotten more about hockey than a lot of talking heads will ever know. And we had a couple guests on that said they didn't like the way Team USA was built. They didn't like the structure and how they focused on defense. You came on and said they built it perfectly. And so far, that seems to be the case.
Yeah, well, listen, there's always room for error when you're building teams, but you know they've done a nice job. They've got a competitive group over there. They're going to have a heck of a test coming their way eventually as they move forward in the Olympics and play some of the better teams here. But you know they've got a good group over there. I like what they've done. They're competitive. They got the Kachuk brothers. They got some grease in there, and they got some skill with the Austin Matthews and a lot of the other top-end players there for the U.S.
How you feel like a proud dad when you see Keller and Peterka going at it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's always fun to watch your players play against each other and see them chirping each other too. So, listen, it's Kells is finally getting into the lineup there, and hopefully he's going to be in the next game for them. I believe he is. And hopefully he can find his way up the lineup. He's a heck of a player for the U.S., and JJ's done a nice job, and I think he got the game winner today for Germany, too. So two real good players, and sometimes when you get moved into your Olympic team, there's no guarantee you're going to play as much as you do as when you're with your home club, but it's certainly a great experience, and it's unreal competition at the Olympics.
So how much of your job as a general manager, you built this team, you signed these guys to contracts, you love the fact that they're playing for their country, but you're also like, hey, man, be careful out there because, you know, we're the ones cutting you the checks.
Well, you watch Connor McDavid and and McKinnon out there running around full boat and just banging bodies all over the ice. I mean, they're elite players, you know, and they're putting it on the line, and it's scary for the NHL, you know. And we've had Kevin Fiala go down for LA. Was a heck of a player for them, and you don't wish that upon any player to get injured over there. But because they do play so hard, you kind of hold your breath the whole time watching.
All right. So when the Olympics wrap up, you'll get that practice back from the break there in Sandy. How important is it to make sure? Or how difficult, I guess I should say, is it to try to find and recapture that momentum you had going into the break?
Well, listen, I think we went in, we won the last game, and we were on a high there, and I think we went into the break the right way and tried to educate our guys on coming back in shape, and being ready to play right away. So from our group, we've got everybody healed up, and you can see the excitement coming back through the door. Now we've put ourselves in a good spot to give us a chance to make the playoffs coming down the stretch. So now it's like the final push here. And last year we came out of the break and we were flying. So hopefully we can do the same this year. With the same momentum, and we keep that same type of habits to practice hard as we move through and get ready for the big game against Colorado.
These guys have played a lot of minutes and a lot of games without Logan Cooley. Once he gets healthy and ready to go, is there a little bit of a learning curve when you introduce somebody back into the lineup, or does things usually settle into where they were at before the injury?
Well, I think it's such a great point of the season, to be honest with you, to come back from an injury, because now we've got a whole bunch of days before we go to play, and the whole league has taken a break. So it's going to take everybody 2 to 3 games to get back to where they were, and I think that's going to give Logan the right amount of time to kind of jump in and get up to speed at the NHL. It's a tough time of the year to do that, but it's a great time, in fact, that the league's all coming back together. So I think it's going to work out, and he's going to get a chance to practice with the group for the first time. Nobody was more excited when I walked down to lunch than Logan Cooley. He was chomping at the bit to get to go on the ice. So he's back, he's healthy, and it's an exciting time for us.
When do are guys already starting to file their way back in after maybe getting a little bit of a R&R?
Yeah, they're coming back. We start up today, and we get back at it today on the ice. And I think everybody was just truly excited about coming back to the rink and seeing everybody. We got a group of guys that really like to be around each other and like to work together and get better. So it's a really good spot for our club. We got young players that are hungry, and now we're pushing. Now we're coming down the stretch. And like I said last year, we wanted to play meaningful games. We want to win those meaningful games this year. And that's the difference with our group, and you can see the hunger with our guys.
We talk about Cooley, Kerfoot. He's close to being back too, correct?
Yeah, Kirk's coming back for us. He's a big part of it too, on the penalty kill and what he does. He's a huge leader for our club too. So he's going to be back pushing, and he's fully healthy. So it's an exciting time. We got Cooley and Kerfoot coming back in.
You know, props to a lot of guys that made it happen while those guys were out on injuries, to be able to play the quality of hockey that you were able to string together, win the games that you were able to win without two of those big guns out there. It kind of shows you the depth that you've really built out there.
Well, it is. I mean, I like the fact that, Nick Schmaltz, he moved him to center and took Cooley's spot and just did a great job, gave us a chance to win every night. He was a huge part of it. And the Carcones of the world and the Yamamotos of the world, those guys are, they jump in any hole and they produce. And, without those guys, we would have never stood a chance to kind of be a competitive club and put points on the board. And that's just a credit to our group and how we fight, our coaching staff, and some of those guys that are role players that do whatever it takes every night.
All right, let's talk about some youngsters. You got Tucson out there that's fighting for a playoff spot. You've got a couple players there. How have they looked during this stretch?
Well, Big Simashev, we sent him down there, and he's done a great job. He's almost been at a point a game as a D-man. He's found a new level there. He's been one of the best players in the league, and he's just taken his game to kind of new heights. And he's in here in town right now practicing with us over the break. So he's been a really big part of Tucson, helping them make a push to get into the playoffs down there. And also Maverick Lamoureux, another big man on D's, just rounding out his game and getting better every day and stronger every day. So, those are two big D-men that you just don't find in the NHL. They're hard to find, and we have them, playing for us in the minors, and they're getting better every day. And hopefully they're going to come in and have some impact at some point in time during this year or next year for us. And they're two big, huge pieces for us.
Are you always kind of interested to see how guys respond when they get a taste of the NHL and then go back down and play at that level and see how they respond after getting a taste of the travel and the food and the per diems and everything else?
Well, there's an old expression: there's only one league in the world to play in, and the bad part is when you go down to the American League, it really hurts. To go back down there and kind of get accustomed to those long bus rides and the crappy food and all the other bad things that kind of go around. But the good news is there's a ton of playing time down there, and there's some opportunity to kind of increase their role and get better and see some new opportunities and some new leadership positions. And, we have such a great development staff, a great coaching staff down there that, the workouts that they're doing skill-wise and, shooting off the ice, on the ice, doing all those little things to get better every single day. You can just see the growth and improvement that they make. And now they get a chance to come up and practice with us for the next few days, and we'll see the games, and they get excited. They want to play in the National Hockey League, and they're hungry. And I've always felt like as an organization, when you get that competitive, from the prospects down below, they're pushing up top. So it's really a great thing, and it makes a very competitive organization, and that's a lot better than me yelling at players when they feel that competitive growth from their other teammates. It pushes them.
It's I call games for Utah State, their football and basketball teams, and the Jazz needed a guy to help out when they were playing in Toronto. And so I flew out to Toronto. I stayed in the Four Seasons with the team, called that game. And then 3 days later, I was in the Hilton Garden Inn in Laramie, Wyoming, calling a game. And I'm like, the whiplash of this is something else, man. It takes a little getting used to, for sure. Hey, let's talk about Cole in the Ontario Hockey League. He's had a good run, 3 consecutive 4+ point nights, and leading that league with 1.8 points per game average.
Yeah, Cole Gwen has been an animal down in the OHL. He's been, we sent him down. I don't know if there's more he could have done. He made Team Canada for the World. He was I think he led the Team Canada in ice time. He was an assistant captain, and now he's gone down and into his home club in Barrie in the OHL and just ripped it apart. He's been a specimen down there. So we get excited when we see that type of growth in our prospects. And he's someone that he's probably our hardest working prospect, someone that's got an engine that doesn't stop. So he's been huge for us, and just, seeing the growth in him as a prospect.
You don't get a lot of breaks like this with the Olympics and that extended amount of time. We talk about the players resting up. How important is it for the mental stress on your coaching staff, because they're in the grind and they're working hard, to be able to maybe decompress for a day or two? How beneficial is that for them?
Well, I think for the whole organization, to be honest with you, what people don't realize, we played day off, played day off, played it was just on, and then you put in some travel, and we had some crazy travel at the start of the year where we just had played twice the amount of road games as most teams, and that just it hurts on the body, it hurts on your brain. So I think for us and the whole staff, just getting away and getting some time just away from the rink, I think helped us. I think you could see it when everybody came back into the rink yesterday. You could just see the excitement on the coach's face and wanting to get back at it.
Is there a benefit of playing Colorado right out of the gate, because you guys know, okay, there's no lead back into this thing? We start with the big gun right out of the gate.
We love it. We love that. They're a great team. They're the best team in the National Hockey League, and every time we get a chance to play them, it's a great opportunity to showcase how good we are also. I think we match up well. They're a fast team. I think we're a faster team. And it's good, because our guys always get up for that game because they look at them as the champs, and they want to take a run at the champs. So I think it's always a good comparison tool to see how good we are against the best.
I love it. Hey, we appreciate your time as always. Thanks for hanging out with us, and let's do it again next week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You got it. That's Bill Armstrong right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, for his weekly conversation as we talk Utah Mammoth with him. And again, he mentioned guys coming back. They're getting back on the ice. They still have some guys still playing in the Olympics. Those guys will get back, and then it all starts back up again for the stretch run beginning a week from tomorrow, February 25th, when they welcome in the Avalanche. And there's no lead in there, folks. No, you're off and running. And I think to a certain extent that can be very beneficial for your squad when you realize, okay, yeah, you're not playing, you're not ramping up to a big opponent like that. You play the big gun. So there's no way you can't be lack of focus coming out of this break. There's urgency, and you have a chance to have a statement game right out of the break when you welcome in the Avalanche. And by the way, if you do not have tickets for that game, you want to see the Avalanche up close in person. They're a really fun team to watch, but it's also a great litmus test for where this Mammoth team is. Two things. Number one, where's your focus level coming out of the long, long break? Where's the fitness level? Everything that goes along with it. I joked with Bill Armstrong a week ago. I remember Jerry Sloan talking about, and back then, when Jerry was coaching, the All-Star break in the NBA was much shorter than it was now. I mean, we're talking like maybe 3 or 4 days total. Here, you're getting a good solid week. And during that 3 or 4 day stretch, he would talk all the time about guys can get out of shape. It only takes a day or two for guys to get out of basketball shape. And I asked Bill about that last week, and he said, yeah, absolutely. It only takes a day or two for an NHL player to get out of NHL shape. Now, you could still say, okay, well, he's still in shape. Yeah, but there's difference between being in shape and being in game shape and being able to handle that level of physicality and that handle of all the speed and everything else that goes along with it. That is a different level of fitness that you can lose apparently very quickly. I mean, for those of us who've never actually been in shape, we have a hard time actually imagining that. For these guys that are finely tuned athletes at the highest level, yeah, apparently you can slip out of fitness or out of shape pretty quickly in the shape that you need to be able to perform at that kind of a level. And so
you give yourself a 3-week break with the Olympics. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
It feels like I mean, it's going to be almost a month. It's going to be almost a month since they last played.
And you go back home, you get a little bit of mama's cooking. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to rest up for a couple days, and then I'll get back at it. And then 2 days becomes 4 days, and then becomes a week, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
one cheat day turns into a second cheat day. And then before you know it,
you know how that goes.
Done.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, that's the thing. That's the rule. You can have a cheat day. You can't have a cheat week.
That's why I live by a cheat day every day.
Oh, really? So
yes.
So a cheat day for you would be actually not eating the ramen noodles.
Yes. You know, what I've come to learn, by the way, because I told you I lost actually quite a bit of weight when I eliminated like soda and stuff like that. I'm not losing that weight when I eliminate soda now. I'm starting to put it on right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't.
I'm starting to.
You can't tell.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you can't.
I can feel it.
Lloyd, you look the same as you did 15 years ago.
I appreciate that, but it's not true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing that's kind of weird when you are in the range, like when you're 300 plus and you put 5 on or you drop 10, you don't feel it. Like it feels exactly the same. Then when you get under 200 and you put 5 on, you feel it really significantly.
Yeah.
Or if you lose 10, you really feel it significantly. So yeah, it's kind of weird having that different mindset when, on both ends of the spectrum. One, you don't really, and I think that's where, things can get away from you pretty quickly, where you're like, I feel the same. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's getting out of hand. But, on the other side, you put 10 on when you're, 160, you go to 170, you feel that significantly.
Bringing it back to the Mammoth,
enough of you talking. Let's get back to this.
No.
I got you.
Because I'm the one that sidetracked it. Bringing it back to the Mammoth, though, like they were, they were hot going into the Olympic break. That team was hot. They had, they had that 2-game slide, but then they got back on track and picked up a win. You'd like to see that. You hope that keeps going. They're on the verge of getting Cooley back. They're getting the guys are getting healthy. You'd like to see him stay hot.
Well, and I think you brought up a really good point about Cooley. So everybody, you mentioned NHL's been shut down for almost a month now with the Olympics. So you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to have those weird, hey, we're all back together. We're trying to pick up the momentum of where we were at 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so that's a good time to get Cooley back. And I think that's pretty smart because, while everybody else is adjusting and coming back to NHL play, the Utah Mammoth are going to be adjusting and getting Cooley and Kerfoot back in the lineup. And that's going to take some time, and it's going to take some adjustment because these guys have played 2 months without these dudes. And to throw them back in and say, all right, chemistry, 1, 2, 3, go. And there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. It's going to take a moment for these guys to adapt and be right to where they want to be. But yet, while the rest of the league is adjusting, you can take advantage of that a little bit. Team USA, though. Can we just get to the Canada gold medal game?
Oh, please. I actually thought Germany, because Germany's got some players.
They got some dudes.
I thought they were going to give them Paterka and Draisaitl. I thought they were going to give them a little more of a game. Not so much. They looked really good. Now Canada, that's a different animal. Who was it? They beat somebody like 10-2, like a drum. Latvia? I don't remember who it was, but they beat somebody pretty badly. That's going to be a game, and I don't know which way it feels like. It feels like Canada probably has the edge, but I sure hope the U.S. can give them a game.
They'll give them a game.
Yeah.
No, it'll be a fantastic game. It's just a matter of, can you just get over that Canada hump? Can you just
not an easy thing.
I mean, there's been so many opportunities. And look, Canada is the be-all of all existence when it comes to hockey. We all get that, understand that. That would be such a monumental moment for the United States to get a gold medal, and in doing so, beating Canada for that gold medal. That's going to resonate in a big way. That's got to happen. All right. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, really fired up for our next conversation. Ken Pomeroy is going to join us. The reason I wanted to talk to Ken, well, first, Ken's the man. We love chatting with him anyway. But second of all, his name has gotten into the mix a little bit here locally in terms of rankings, in terms of computer, how much should you be running up the score? And he mentioned that, or Jared Calhoun mentioned, in this day and age with the system and the reliance on analytics and the reliance on these computer numbers, sometimes you're forced to run up the score. That's what Utah State did to Memphis. Now, Ken Pomeroy, who runs probably the most well-known ranking service out there, outside of maybe the net, and I think even Ken Pom's more important than the net at this point. We'll have Ken Pomeroy talk about what, after hearing Jared Calhoun's comments, how he would respond to that and how he would handle that type of a situation. Ken Pomeroy joins us next, plus we'll give away some Jazz tickets straight ahead right here on The Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ken Pomeroy is going to join us coming up here in just a moment, but it is a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Let's hook somebody up.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, you know the drill. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. If you're caller number 12, you'll win a pair of tickets. See the Jazz and the Pelicans coming up on February 26th at the Delta Center. Game starts at 7 o'clock. Again, if you don't win tickets right now, that's okay. Wait next hour. JJ and Alex will give away another pair, and then another pair the next hour. You know the drill. 801-575-ZONE. As soon as you see that or hear that sounder, it is your chance to win. All right, really fired up to chat with Ken Pomeroy, kenpom.com. I am a huge, huge fan of kenpom.com and Ken Pomeroy, the work he's done. He has been influential in the world of college basketball to the point where Jared Calhoun mentions the system that we're in right now and why he has to run up the score against the Memphis Tigers. Joining us now, Ken Pomeroy, kind enough to hang out with us. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Scotty. I'm glad you brought that up. I was hoping we could chat about the controversial MJ Collins dunk at the end of the game.
The windmill dunk to put Utah State up by 24. They win that game 99-75. And afterwards, Penny Hardaway's a little grumpy, says that's classless. Jared Calhoun says, hey, look, every possession matters. And when you're a G5 school and you're trying to play the analytic game, I'll tell my guys to keep scoring, and I will not apologize for it. Did he do the right thing?
So, yes. There's so much to unpack here. But, yeah, yes. He did the right thing. Like, he's dealing with the incentives that have been presented to him. We do have to clarify, in his postgame he said, I somehow established the rules here. But it's the NCAA establishing these rules. I have my own system that's for its own purpose. And the NCAA has established these rules where there is that perception that every possession matters. I do find it hard to believe that dunk's going to make any difference to whether, Utah State gets in or whether they get a certain seed or whatever. But I can't say that it wouldn't because, again, the NCAA has their own system, which, rewards that kind of, situation. So I don't think – like Jared Calhoun did the right thing. I think it's a bad system when those things are rewarded, and people are probably like, "Well, Ken, that's your system. Why? How can you say that?" Well, my system's not designed to select and seed tournament teams. It's designed to predict the future, and the NCAA really should just be rewarding wins and losses. And whether you win by 22 or 24 should be irrelevant. Utah State should just get credit for beating Memphis. Regardless of if they win by 2 or 24 or 56. That would be the proper system, and we don't quite have that system. And, I don't blame Jared Calhoun for doing that, but I also think it's not the best system we could have.
So let's just use Ken Pom, for example, and talk about, because if people don't know, there's no emotion, there's no eyeball test when it comes to your rankings. It's all computer-driven. So Utah State's got Boise State coming up next. You have a anticipated score of Utah State winning that game by 11. If they only win that game by 2, how much does that affect them? And I'm talking broad, generalization here.
Yes. So they probably dropped 3 or 4 spots just looking at the rating. A lot of it depends on how closely rated they are to neighboring teams. So, let's just say at this time of year, you played 25 games. So, a 9-point difference is not going to have some earth-shattering effect. If they were number 1 in the country, they would still be number 1, right? There's just such a distance between 1 and 2 usually. But when you're in the mid-20s, yeah, it'll knock them down by 3 or 4 spots probably.
What is there a bigger gap between being hurt by a 2-point win or a bigger advantage by winning by 25 when you were supposed to win by 11?
Yeah, there would probably be about the same advantage. Like the more lopsided the game gets, the less effect those extra points have on the ratings. They still have an effect on the ratings because, again, I'm in the business of making predictions, and historically, like, those points do matter when we're evaluating a team in terms of making predictions. So I mean, if they win by 25, they go up by 3 or 4 spots.
Ken Pomeroy, KenPom.com, joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Even though it is somewhat similar, the net and KenPom, and I don't know, have they let you behind the curtain on how they put the net together at all?
Not really, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, we do, like, so there is this. Yeah, we could use more transparency. I'll share this little tidbit. Like, before the season, like first game of the season, I get a call from a coach, and we'll just humble brag here. The coach who's won a national championship.
No
and
big
he was like,
deal.
Ken, did they change the net formula this year? I heard they changed it. Like, you like running up the score doesn't help you anymore. I was like, that's weird. I haven't heard anything about that, and I would probably know. And so the coach passed me on this article that was on NCAA.com, and they hadn't changed the net formula, but they had written something where they said running up the score doesn't help you because we're only concerned about efficiency or whatever. But anyway, not to get to the woods here, but running up the score still helps you.
Yeah.
They don't the person writing this article didn't I mean, we don't know exactly what the net formula is, but got a pretty good idea. And there's no cap on margin of victory or anything like that. So, so if you're just looking offensive and defensive efficiency, that's driven by how many points you score and allow. So the more points you score and the less points you allow, the better you're going to look in that formula. And it really seemed like this article misrepresented the net formula itself. And I don't know that for sure, but that's the kind of odd situation we're in where there is the NCAA is more transparent about this stuff than they were, say, 20 years ago. But there's still a lot of mystery about this thing, and it's needless mystery. It's a formula that determines, if you're getting in the tournament or not. There should be more transparency around it.
So let's talk about some teams. Give me your thoughts on the Aggies. Now currently ranked 24th in your KenPom numbers. I think they're 21, 22 in the net. This is an Aggie team that's very balanced. They've got good scoring. They play defense. They force steals. They get fast break opportunities. Overall, what do you think of Jared Calhoun's crew?
Yeah, really impressed. I mean, I think this is the best Aggie team we've seen over this, really maybe the post Stu Morrill era. I don't know if that's overstating things or if I'm forgetting a team, but really impressed, really solid. They just go out and take care of business, and obviously had that that stretch a month ago where they lose the Grand Canyon, which is not that big a deal, and they lose the UNLV at home on a game that they should have had. And losing the UNLV at home is not good. But since then, got right back to taking care of business. Had a little bit of a struggle on the road to Wyoming, as some teams do, but pulled out the win there, and things look great. And yeah, they're super balanced. It's a type of team construction that works really well. They've brought back some core program guys from last year, supplemented it with some good transfers, and they're just a machine. The defense is solid, the offense is good. They can shoot it from 3, but they're 5th in the country in 2-point percentage. So you just look around at all the various stats for this team, and you don't necessarily pick up on any obvious weaknesses. This is a team that we understand the struggles that non-San Diego State Mountain West teams have had in the tournament in the past. They're always reluctant to predict some sort of deep run in the tournament, but if it's ever going to happen, it would be with this team.
When you the Mountain West Conference is kind of an interesting situation because I talk to a lot of coaches. They all think the conference is more competitive from top to bottom, but that may have worked against them. This certainly isn't going to be a 5-bid league this year. 3 may be it, and probably could be 2, depending on who wins the conference tournament. Do you think the conference is stronger, and have they cannibalized themselves a bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a good read on things. Obviously you got the automatic wins in terms of Air Force and San Jose State, but after that, the middle of the league is stronger, and it's stronger in a way that you're not. People are going to say, Utah State struggles at Wyoming, and it's like, well, oh, whoa, like Utah State's overrated. They must be overrated. Like, how can you not just go and crush Wyoming? And but Wyoming's like decent, but they're fully healthy. Like, they're ranked around number 100, and road games against teams like that are pretty difficult. Like, for a team ranked 25th in the country, like, you're gonna lose like, I don't know, 1 in 3 of those games, something like that. So however you get a win there, regardless of the style points, should be viewed as a, not a super high quality win, but certainly a win that shows that, you're a tournament team. And then when you lose those games, it's a problem. And Utah State has mostly avoided that minefield, but other teams have not. And, tonight's game is a great example, or tomorrow night's game is a great example where, Boise State obviously has racked up a few losses. They're not going to the tournament, but they're ranked 58th in my system. So, they're still a team that's difficult to beat, even in Logan. And it's a team that's not going to get a lot of respect nationally. So you do have to win those games. And it's kind of like a disproportionate penalty almost.
Yeah.
So it's a problem with, it's a problem across leagues like the A10, kind of these leagues that are 1 or 2 bid leagues where that the middle of the league is good, but not great, not tournament worthy, but they're certainly capable of beating the top teams in the league. And it is kind of a drain on your league's total number of tournament bids.
When the schedule came out, I texted Jared Calhoun and I said, hey, Mountain West may have it in for you because you only get San Jose once and you only get Air Force once. And he said, no, actually, we look at that as them doing us a favor because we don't have the drain that those 2 schools might bring on our computer numbers. So while the level of competition goes up night in and night out, and while the level of difficulty goes up, we also anticipate we'll be rewarded because of the numeric value of who we're playing. Was that the right mindset to have?
Yeah, I think so. This is like the strategy that the WCC eventually figured out, where it was we want Gonzaga and St. Mary's to not play the bottom teams. We want them only to play the top half of the league twice and then play the bottom half once. So he is correct. And in a better world where those middle level games were valued more appropriately by the selection committee, and maybe we're getting on a path where they're going to do that better, using things like strength of record and wins above bubble. Those wins would be rewarded appropriately, and the schedule would be perfect. It's exactly how leagues should schedule things. Avoid having the top teams play the bottom teams, because there's nothing good will come of playing Air Force. Either you win by 30 and things are good, or you win by 10 and your net rating gets dinged a little bit, or you lose and your tournament hopes end up getting damaged. So I think Coach Calhoun is on the money with that one.
BYU suffers a really rough injury with Richie Saunders, and then they hold on. They find a way to beat Colorado, but the Cougars are in a bit of a slump. Give me your thoughts on where they're at and how much this Saunders injury could hurt them.
Yeah, it's brutal. There's no way to avoid it. Part of the storyline with BYU this year has been the lack of depth, and in college basketball, depth doesn't really matter on a game-to-game basis. They had a roster that could do some damage in the tournament, but depth obviously matters when you have a season-ending injury. And so when you have just 3 guys that essentially make up the bulk of your offense, and one of them is gone, nobody's going to no single person is going to step up and fill what Richie Saunders did, and even collectively, the bench is not going to step up and fill his gap. So you're just going to get even more AJ DeBonso, more Rob Wright. Those 2 guys are going to dominate this offense, and it's going to be especially tricky for them to continue to be as efficient as they have been up to this point in the season. I have them 22nd as of today, and if you assume Richie Saunders is worth say 3 points to the team, and you adjust the rating accordingly, they drop into the 30s, which is still a tournament team, but it's just not a team that has that explosiveness anymore to make a deep run. I do think sometimes people overreact to injuries, but in BYU's case, because they're so dependent on these 3 guys, I don't think an overreaction is necessarily possible here. Like it does really hurt what they can do.
I know that this isn't a complete. I'm broad brushing here a little bit, but generally, what kind of range? Where's your cutoff point in your numbers that you've seen teams get into the tournament as an at-large? Is it 30s? Does it go into the 40s at all, or is there a number where it's kind of the point of no return?
Yeah, I mean mid 40s is probably like maybe mid 40s to 50 is probably like the average in a given year on the worst at-large team. But there are special cases, and this year there's a very special case, which is Miami, Ohio, who is undefeated and I think still ranked in the 80s in my system, and they've just won every close game on their schedule. They played at a very weak schedule, didn't play anybody in non-conference, and obviously playing the MAC, and so they're not really getting that exposure against top 50 teams, which is part of the reason they're undefeated. But the other part is they're a good team, and the other part is they've had some good close game success. And I'm fairly sure Miami, Ohio can lose one and probably two. Like, really, realistically, they should be able to lose two games and get into the tournament as an at-large. If you look at like strength of record type stuff, they rank really well there. And the fact is, like, even if you threw Miami's schedule and gave it to Utah State this year, really hard for Utah State to go undefeated against that schedule. You're just going to have an off night and lose a game. And so what they've done is impressive, and hopefully they get in. And they probably would set a new standard for like lowest ranked at-large team to get in. But I do think based on their accomplishments and again their wins and losses, which is what we should care about, accounting for their schedule, of course, I think they would deserve to get in.
All right, let's get to the biggest story in the world of sports right now. Did the Canadians cheat in curling, and how egregious was it?
Yeah, cheat's kind of a strong word, but their third, Mark Kennedy, I would say knowingly violated a rule and then denied it later, which was, part of the problem, and then dropped some expletives on the team accusing him of cheating or breaking the rule. So, yeah, there was a violation of the rules. It's not really clear what advantage was gained by doing that, but probably some small advantage. It's something he's done in the past. So, yeah, controversy in the curling world by those conniving Canadians.
I know, right?
Cheaters,
all of them.
Come on.
Hey, all right. So kind of handicap what we're seeing here, and who's your favorite?
Favorite in the curling world?
Yes. Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, hey, Canada, despite their cheating, is probably they're looking pretty good right now. They're at the top of the table on the men's side, and I think they're probably the favorite to win there. Well, actually, Switzerland is top of the table. But Canada, I think, will win it. On the women's side, that's where we still have hopes for the good old USA, guys. It looks like, barring something crazy happening, that our team, skipped by Tabitha Peterson, will make the 14 playoff round. Tough competition there. You got Switzerland, Sweden, and probably Canada, who started off pretty slow. Three really good teams. So, we will be the true underdog story. We do make the playoffs there, but we've had the underdog story before. 2018, the men's team won, came out of nowhere, so it is possible. So keep an eye on the U.S. women. So if Team USA if Team Canada does not win the gold, is it like a dream team not winning in basketball? Is that the kind of upset we're talking about, where Canada should be winning this every year? I mean, they certainly feel that way. The fact is, they don't win it every year. They didn't. I believe they didn't win any medals, or certainly didn't win golds. I think they won no medals in the last Olympic.
Oh wow!
Competition. Yeah. So it's been, I think, 3 Olympics since they won a gold. So yeah. So there's a little more variability in curling than there is in basketball, at least at the Olympic level. Like, obviously, yeah, the U.S. kind of owns Olympic basketball on the men's and women's side. And Canada, historically has way more depth than any other country. But at the very top, the very best teams from each country, there really isn't a gap. Like places like Scotland and Sweden, they're just, they're having their curling teams just do curling, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And Canada or the U.S., we let our curlers have day jobs and live lives. So, it's a little bit of a competitive disadvantage in that sense.
All right, I know you play a lot, so I did talk. I've never pushed a stone. I've never done anything curling related. I have heard though it's more physically taxing than I think a lot of us believe it is.
Certainly the sweeping part. Yeah, the throwing part is actually not bad, but the sweeping part is the aerobic activity. Like that's where games at the highest level are won and lost. Like these athletes are Olympic trained athletes. They have, amazing technique where they're just putting all their weight on this curling broom to try to sweep as fast and as strong as they can. And, I always tell people when I'm giving a lesson, like you can sweep as hard or as light as you want here. Like it's, we're not testing you on that. And sweeping is a lot of work. So if you don't want to put in the work, that's totally acceptable. But obviously if you're trying to win games at the highest level, it can be pretty exhausting to do that sweeping for 3 hours of curling.
Do you have your own stones, Ken?
No, so that's the one of the beauties of curling is that the stones are all provided by whatever place you go to play at. So stones are quite expensive.
I need some lessons, heavy. Ken. I need some lessons.
Do you have your own?
I'm so into it.
Do you have your own broom?
I do have my own broom. I have my own broom. I have my own shoes. Yeah, have all that stuff. But the stones are, there's not something you would own yourself.
I don't think that's something you're going to be lugging around in a backpack, probably.
No, you're not going to check that in on your flight out to, Toronto or something.
Hey, Ken, you're the best, man. Thanks for joining us and giving a little curling, a little love, and a breakdown, man. We appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate the time, guys.
You got it. Ken Pomeroy, get there, kenpom.com. I'm telling you, folks, kenpom.com, that is the website. I've talked about it for decades now. I'm a huge fan of it. I use it every single solitary game in preparation for and in calling games as well. Get there now, kenpom.com. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.